Thank you, Professor Dr. Farid Murad, for your insight into the drug discovery and the conference. And now our second speaker. He has over 830 publications in organic chemistry in leading international journals. He's the first scientist from the Muslim world to have won the prestigious UNESCO Science Prize and is a fellow of the prestigious Royal Society London. I would like to welcome on stage a close friend of the Higher Colleges of Technology, Professor Dr. Ataur Rahman, for his keynote address. Thank you, Professor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. A very good morning to all of you. It really is a pleasure to be here this morning. And at the outset, let me say welcome to all the participants. I hope you have a stimulating and enjoyable visit to this lovely city. And I'd like to especially thank His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan, Mubarak al-Nahyan, and Dr. Tayyib Kamali and his colleagues. And also thank Dr. Howard Reed and his colleagues for having this venue, this beautiful facility, and all the lovely ushers that are around you who are looking after you. So thanks, and a very special thanks to Mahmoud Alam. Please get up, Mahmoud. He's been doing such wonderful work, and a big hand to you. Well, we live in a world where knowledge is no longer dependent on natural resources. Oil and other natural resources have diminishing importance. What has become the key for socio-economic development is the quality of human resources and our ability to create an environment where they can contribute to the process of socio-economic development. And let me just give you one example of what one world-class center can do. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, from it have come some 4,000 companies just from one institute, which today have annual sales of some $240 billion US dollars. And if they were to be put together in one basket, that would constitute the 18th largest economy of the world. So that's the impact. And we all know what Stanford and did for the Silicon Valley, and there are many other examples. And I'd like to emphasize here, I'm myself a professor of organic chemistry, but I'm presently heading an organization called COMSTEC, which comprises the 57 ministers of science and technology of the Islamic world. And I'd like to emphasize here that universities are not about beautiful buildings. They're not about paperless environments. They're not about even expensive instruments or equipment or gadgetry. Universities are about beautiful minds. They are about creativity. They are about clustering the brightest people in different fields and then making the magic of science happen. So I was the Minister for Science and Technology for about 9 years, and a Minister of Higher Education for about 9 years. And during that time, I tried to change the scenario in my country, Pakistan. And I'll just tell you a little story in the next 6 or 7 minutes of what can happen. I managed to convince the government that the way forward for Pakistan was education, education, and education, like all developing countries. And if you want to invest in the future, you have to invest in our young. And so we managed to get a 6,000% increase in the budget for science and technology, and later a 2,400% increase for higher education, and that provided us the oxygen to move forward quickly. Pakistan has some 85 million below 19. It's a huge young population. Out of a population of 160 million, about 54% are below 19. This is a huge potential. It's also a huge challenge. Can we unleash their creative potential? Can we attract them to science? And how do we attract them into research? So that was the question. How do we excite young minds that science is fun? It's not about having a 9-to-5 job. It's being paid for having a love affair with your field. So we said we are going to invest our money, these funds that we had available, in scholarships, in sending people to the top institutions abroad, but more importantly in trying to create an environment back home so that they come back and they contribute. And I'm delighted to say, looking back, that of all the scholarships that we gave, we have a 97% return rate back to Pakistan through the measures that we took. And this was through research funding. Can you make this a little smaller, please, somehow? It's really too big. Thank you very much. So what we did was, we said in order to attract them back, we have to have research funding, access to the facilities, infrastructure. This was something that we were talking about this morning when we were sitting with the Nobel laureates and with the faculty members of this institution. So one of the key decisions that we made, and this was a revolutionary decision, we changed the salary structures. And we said the professors in universities should have salaries which are about 5 times the salaries of federal ministers in the government. So that young people, when they are opting for careers in their life, most of them want to go into just business administration, or some of them want to go into, a few go into just medical practice, not into research, but how many want to go into biotechnology or engineering or stem cell research or economics and go into research areas. But we said we will not change the salary structures of everyone, because paying poor quality people high salaries is just a waste of money. So we linked it to international assessment, first for 3 years, after 3 years, and then after 6 years by an international panel of experts, brought in this new 10-year track system, reduced the tax rates by 75%, so the maximum tax rate was 5%, and a professor's salary was then equivalent to about $7,000 a month, provided he passed the various tests. And we then started a huge scholarship program, about $1 billion program. About 11,000 scholarships were awarded at PhDs, postdoctorals, and so on, to top universities abroad through a very competitive, highly competitive system, so that we could select the creme de la creme, the best of the students that we had, and also strengthen the indigenous PhD program. And the world's largest Fulbright program was initiated with the US, with both countries putting in funds towards this. And as a result of this, and each returning scholar was offered a grant of $100,000, but it had to have a linkage, a collaboration with some foreign professors, so potentially 4,000 or 5,000 formal linkages with various top universities across the world, so that when they return, and they all had jobs to come back to, planned a year in advance, so there was no frustration on their return. So it was a well thought out program. And as a Minister for IT and Telecom, I had an opportunity for improving the IT infrastructure, and these are the knowledge highways, in many ways more important than the road highways that we are used to. And on this infrastructure, we created the Pakistan Educational Research Network, which provides today 1 gigabit connectivity to every university. And this is connected to 10 gigabit loops around the major cities. And this, we launched a nationwide e-books, e-journals program, which provides 25,000 full-text journals to every single public sector university in Pakistan, free of charge, and to some 40,000 textbooks from 220 international publishers. A free nationwide facility. Of course, it's not free, the government pays for it. And then we started a program where, while lectures were given from MIT or Harvard or Cambridge or wherever, and listened to live and interactively through a video conferencing facility, an MIT Mirror website established in Pakistan, so that all those materials could be downloaded, a satellite placed in space for education, ParkSat-1, for the virtual university. And as a result of many of the measures, we had, just in a 7-year period, we had only 135,000 students in 2003. That was the total strength of Pakistani university population. From 1947, when Pakistan was formed, till 2003, we had only 135,000 students. In 2009, when I left some 7 years later, this had tripled. The university population had tripled. The number of universities had also more than doubled. There was a 600% increase in ISI abstracted publications, 1,000% increase in citations after removing self-citations, and the Higher Education Times rankings. For the first time, we had Pakistani universities coming there, and in Natural Sciences, Karachi University was at 223, the National University of Science and Technology at 260, Quaid-e-Azam University at 270, still not in the top 100, but still getting there, on the radar, and things changing rapidly. And there have been some glowing international tributes, full reports, 100-page plus by the World Bank, USAID, the British Council, 4 editorials by Nature, one on 27 number 2007, entitled The Paradox of Pakistan. Here's this strange country, it said, with bombings and terrorism and all the problems that you have. And then in the same country, there's this wonderful program going on in higher education. So that was in November. Then when Musharraf left, there was another editorial in Nature, which said, after Musharraf. And it said, don't go back to the Stone Age, which existed before. Just persist on this path of knowledge, and things will change for the future. And the third editorial on 3rd of September 2009. And finally, that should be 2010, sorry, 22nd September 2010, which has happened to be my birthday. And I was rather amused by these comments that were in Nature, where they talked about my background, etc. And the last line called me a force of nature, or whatever that meant. But that was quite interesting. But, and the Austrian government was very kind to give me a high civil award for whatever changes we brought about in Pakistan. And there was a TWAS prize, Italy prize for the work that we did. And the Royal Society London came forward with a book entitled A New Golden Age, about what was going on in the Islamic world. And in this, they said that Pakistan is the best practice model to be followed by other developing countries. So that was an acknowledgement by the Royal Society for what we had tried to achieve. So I'll just end here. This was a short, breathless account of 7 years that we spent, and it seems like a dream, but something wonderful has begun to happen. And so I'll end by saying that the 4 key pillars for socioeconomic development, and I think that needs to be realized in this part of the world, are education, science and technology, innovation and entrepreneurship, extremely important, and very important also, a visionary leadership. Unless you have leaders who know what is to be done and how to move forward, things don't happen. We have a huge amount of wealth. The wealth lies in our children. Let's invest in them, and then you'll see the changes come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Atta Rahman, for your informative speech. Distinguished guests, staff, and students, thank you for honoring us by your attendance at the 3rd International Conference on Drug Discovery and Therapy. There will be now a short break before the sessions begin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.